Hello, my name is Samantha Bowman, and I'm so happy to be with you today. I am the Go-to-Market Programs Lead on the Microsoft for Startups team. And today I want to chat with you a little bit about what it looks like to build out a winning go-to-market strategy and tips to do that successfully. So today we will cover specifically what is a go-to-market strategy and what does it entail. Why is it important to know your customer? How do you define your offer and your value proposition? How can you think through, marketing, sales, and channel strategy? And then ultimately, how to think through selecting your cloud providers and why that's important as a startup. So a lot of ground to cover. We'll go ahead and just kind of jump right in. So what is a go-to-market plan? You can have a really amazing product that's technically superior, but without actually having the right access to the market, you will probably lose. And the sad story is we see a lot of larger companies that have a better distribution system with a much more inferior solution that actually win. And this might even be what kind of prompted you to start your own company and build your own solution. But this is why a thoughtful go-to-market strategy is key to winning. Often I see a lot of startups jumping into kind of execution mode without actually understanding, kind of taking a moment to understand the big picture. And by doing that, it's going to really help you achieve success in the long run. So go-to-market is an extremely broad term and domain, but ultimately when I think of a go-to-market plan, I think of it as a defined plan that specifies how you will reach your customers and achieve a competitive advantage. A comprehensive GTM plan can include or should include, the analysis of who your customer is and actually taking that knowledge to then define your offer. It should then also think through how to actually sell your solution. So knowing, where people are buying your product and what's the best way to reach them through marketing and what channels. And then also thinking through how partners can play a role in helping you scale and achieve long-term success. So those are kind of the three components we'll focus on today. And I'll give you some tips and general thoughts of how to think through each one of those strategically as you start to build out your go-to-market plan. So step one, knowing your customers. I can't stress enough how important this is to sit down and really think through before you do any sort of building. If you've already been building, if you're already, in the market, even taking the time to step back and actually thoughtfully think through, okay, who is your ideal customer? Think of your customer segment. Describe what sort of company is in each target market segment and what would be a significant value or service to them. It can often look like, identifying their type of business, their revenue size, their culture, what appeals to them, how do they purchase their solution today? I mean, really all different types of things that you can sit down and think through, really, okay, who's your ideal customer? And then additionally, you want to go into kind of this next stage of it and actually say, all right, let's start building out a customer profile. So I think I know who my ideal customer is, but I want to build out this profile. And that can look like understanding what types of jobs are important to this audience. And when I say jobs, I mean, think about it as if you are this customer profile, why would they hire your company? Why would they buy your solution? What job is it going to essentially accomplish for them? And so you want to think through that. And that job could be really functional. It could also be a social job, or it could even be really emotional, but wanting to be able to understand, like, what is it that they would say, I want to actually go to your organization to help me accomplish this job. You want to identify the most significant challenges and pain points in your target audience, and understand their experiences that they're trying to go through to actually get the job done that they need your help with, right? This is going to be so key in when you actually go to developing your value proposition and your messaging. So the more research and understanding you do this on the front end, and the more customer discovery you do, the more you talk to who you think your ideal customers are, is going to be key. And then the other piece is in those conversations, understanding, okay, what's the value? What's the gains that this customer has, or the potential gains that they have by working with you and buying your solution? So what is that expected benefit? Those are all things that you're going to want to have articulated very strongly before you go into actually building out a product or defining your offer or understanding which channels you should sell through. So then once you've done that, again, you kind of take that understanding and you actually start to build out and define your offer. So this looks like, considering, is your solution horizontal or vertical specific? Does your solution, how does this solution appeal to your target customer? So i.e., does it like solve the pain points that you just identified in your customer discovery? How many customers do you want to serve? Are you gonna only be scalable to a couple? Do you want to be able to scale to a few thousand? How are you going to provide support to thousands of people? What is going to be the pricing model? Are you going to have, a different services tiering model? So maybe, if with this many users, you get this level of, an increased number of users, you get this type of access. So thinking through all of those different types of things as it pertains to the knowledge and understanding of your customer is going to be really important. And then how long of a lifespan is your customer going to be? Do you expect to have them for, a long period of time? Is their initial solution offering that's going to get you in the door, but there's the opportunity to cross-sell and upsell and keep them as a lifetime customer? And then ultimately, again, like how are you going to distribute your product to those customers? Those are all questions that you want to consider when you're actually defining your offer, so that, again, these are all things that are going to actually go into even how you build and architect your solution. So this is where the work to do this kind of go-to-market planning up front and really doing the research before you actually jump into building and executing is going to be really, really key and helpful for you, again, to create that winning strategy so that it's not just this product. A lot of times, like I said, I see startups that say, hey, if I build an awesome product, it's going to sell itself. Well, really, you want to make sure that's not always true. You want to see that you've put some intentionality into, okay, it's actually an awesome product because I know my customers and that segment so well that I've created an offer and a solution that services them to the best of their ability. You want to be customer obsessed, right? I mean, this is Microsoft's mantra. We are customer obsessed. And we want to empower every organization on the planet to achieve more. And so we take that obsession as the first, being curious and understanding and wanting to know our customer, and then coming back and building products and messaging that appeals to them and meets them where they are. So ultimately, you're going to take all of this knowledge and you want to create a strong value proposition. So value proposition and supporting messaging is foundation for all of your sales and marketing material. So the more effort you put into this at the beginning, the better you're going to be off in the long run. And you want to do a really thorough job of thinking through this, because this consistent messaging is going to be really key in building that effective marketing and then helping kind of build trust into the world and to your future customers. So creating what I think can be really helpful is creating like your value map. So make sure that you use the right terminology and the language that's right for your audience. So this can, again, you've done a lot of the work during the discovery phase of like, what are the pain points and how will your solution relieve those pain points for them? What is the gains? Those things all want to be resonated really clearly in your value proposition. You want to be able to understand what a customer needs to be able to understand pretty quickly, like what your product or service is in that value proposition. And again, you want to make sure that your value proposition is the perfect fit for that customer profile you built out. So if you built out personas, if you've taken kind of the next level down of building out a customer persona, you really want to make sure that this value proposition resonates with them. It's also really important to understand the competitive landscape. that you're in when you are defining your value proposition, because you need to make sure that your value proposition significantly differentiates yourself against your competitors. It should very quickly, as a consumer, I should be able to very quickly understand how you are so different than XYZ solution, right? If I'm aware, especially if I'm aware of that solution because it's maybe a larger brand, or a more established company that has presence in my market, I want to be able to know really quickly how you're differentiated. And then I want to be able to know why it's better to be with your company than others. These are all things that's so much to consider. And the value proposition is, often it also has to be simple and something that you need to be able to remember and clearly articulate. So it's not an easy task. And I actually think there's a lot of things we can do to test our value proposition, to help you achieve the success that you're looking for in that messaging and marketing framework, to ultimately kind of direct how you market to your customers. So these are just some things that I have found to be helpful over the years as I've been working with startups, and helping them understand how to test their value prop. So first and foremost, I think, looking through to make sure that it's relevant. So again, it needs to demonstrate an understanding that, like, who your audience is, what their pain points are, and their objectives, what they need to have, what jobs, again, they would hire you to do, and what's of value to them. It needs to be credible. So it has to have support, at every step to ensure that your customer is feeling like they've made the right choice. So often, this can look like, okay, I can say that my solution does X, Y, Z, and this value proposition, but um, needing to make sure that I do also have, case studies or testimonials or things to back that up, and that it doesn't feel so outlandish that somebody would just automatically have a caution or concern right away. Consumable. This has to be easy to understand. I often try to repeat, what some of the startups I work with, what their solution is, like, to my mom or my grandma, and if they can't understand it, we have some problems. Neither of them are very technical. So you want that to be something that is digestible, because it's going to be so important when you are selling into the enterprise, or really any customers. There's going to be a lot of constituents that likely have to buy off on purchasing your solution. So wanting to make sure that it's something that can be understood from the most technical person down to the more business, marketing roles, or somebody that's not technical at all. So something that's consumable and digestible enough for a lot of people to understand. Repeatable. Again, this kind of goes with the consumable. If I can say it, understand it, and I'm not technical, and somebody else that is technical could understand it, that's going to be really important. Has to be differentiated. So it needs to make sure that it puts you into a place that no one else occupies. And so that comes back to understanding your competitive landscape. And then valuable. Does your value proposition clearly communicate why it would be of benefit for your customers to work with you and purchase your solution? I think, one of the things that I've seen successful startups do really well is come from, again, this place of customer discovery. So spending hours actually talking to who their target market is and understanding their pain points and and really getting to chat with them, but then also going back and using that same audience and constituents as a place to test things, really asking them their opinion on, hey, does this value proposition resonate with you? You see so many startups actually kind of find a cohort of customers to potentially use when they're building out like a prototype or an MVP, but maybe not the same level of care and intentionality is put into when you're actually developing the messaging. And this is going to be so important. Again, when you're trying to scale and achieve growth, you want to be able to have this messaging really established, because it's going to be important when it comes down to actually like how you market, which, today, a buyer's journey is so differently than it was in the past. With so much information on the internet, buyers tend to reach and are self-educated long before they ever engage potentially your sales team, right? So in order to ensure that the messaging or the content they're consuming actually resonates with them, you want to make sure that you've tested this messaging with your target market. And that you have a very clear understanding of who the customer is and what their expectations are, what their dependencies are. Again, create the messaging around that customer obsession. It totally helps to build buyer personas. I referenced that earlier. If you do that, I think it's just going to help you educate, and these buyer personas are building out kind of the profile of who is the person actually in these companies that tends to buy your solution. Is it the CMO? Is it the CTO? Is it the CISO? Is it somebody else that runs a line of business, right? Are you dealing actually with the administrative person that tends to be the one that's kind of holding the keys to the kingdom when it comes to buying new solutions? Like, you need to know your customers at that level and understand, okay, if who is the person that's actually buying the solution and has the authority to buy the solution, and make sure you're developing messaging for them as well. And so those personas can be so helpful to get you to really dial in your messaging for those people really specifically. And then ultimately, defining a marketing strategy and setting goals is going to be really key. I think these goals should be really clear and specific, realistic, and measurable. They often within marketing, they should have a stated time period. Actually, most goals should have a stated time period, but I think in marketing for sure this is true. They should support your overall business goals, but one way I think is a good way to set goals is kind of envision the results. So, for example, you may begin with a statement that says, like, by the end of this year, we will achieve blank. And those are really helpful when you're thinking through setting some of your marketing goals, because then you can use those goals to work backward. What do we need to achieve those things? Where should we invest marketing dollars? Again, also knowing your customers and knowing where they are is going to help you decide where you should invest dollars for marketing as well. You might be selling into an industry where a primary way that they sell is through key events, right? So you might need to be at an event. Maybe actually it's all digital, right? Maybe they all go to a specific website and they all look for different forums to understand how to develop or run their business better. Like, those are all things that if the more you know the persona and the customer, the better you can allocate marketing dollars effectively to drive impact for you. Some general best practices, I think when you're thinking through marketing, it's imperative and very important that you do consult with your sales team. Those two parts of your organization should run really well together, right? You can't really do one without the other. And the sales team, even if you're small and just getting started, and you might be the CMO and the CRO leading sales, like, you want to be able to take the conversations you're actually having with pipeline opportunities and these potential customers, and start to understand, hey, actually maybe some of this messaging isn't resonating, or hey, this is actually going really well. So I think connecting and collaborating with them. Do not set your marketing strategy and forget it. You want to do periodic checks and really make sure that it's accomplishing what you need to accomplish. And then I think really validating your plan and forecasting with other people is often really helpful when you're at a small stage. So, a lot of startups have board of advisors. Like, this would be something I would highly recommend you lean on, a mentor or board of advisors to looking through your marketing plan as well. Okay, so let's think through quickly a channel. It's tempting to want to do everything by yourself, but really building smart partnerships are going to be a key to growth for you. Often as a startup, it can be hard to gain some credibility. So partnerships and developing a good channel, whether it's with key SIs or a different cloud partner, can be really, really valuable for you. So it can not only help you complete out your solution, it can build you credibility, it can help you market, it can broaden your customer base, it can help you generate and go into new markets, all things that are really important. And that's actually a way to think through your cloud providers as well. So thinking through a cloud provider not only as offering you infrastructure and performance, which they should also be able to add like value-added services for you. And then also really think about how to help support you go to market. So what are the marketing benefits or channels that they can help you reach? For example, at Microsoft, we can help you sell kind of through 3 different channels. We can help you sell direct to your customers by having you publish in our commercial marketplace, where we have over 4 million monthly active users, and you can sell into 140 different geographies. We can help you sell and connect to our partner ecosystem. So all the licensed service providers and managed service providers that actually sell our solutions. We can jointly connect you, and then we can also help you sell directly with our sellers into customers. So that's just to think through, like, as Microsoft, as a as a cloud provider for you, these are things that we can help you do go to market. So I know that was a lot of information and ground that we covered, but I know as a startup, we all want to get to a place where there's a lot of growth, and so many startups think that product development is the key to get there. But I think the startups that I've seen be really successful understand that growth is often an after effect of a strong product that's achieved product market fit and a great distribution strategy. So I really appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.